here is the world at noon. Osun State Governor, Southwest Nigeria, assures citizens of more dividends of democracy. Burundi gets new Prime Minister. China, Australia, high first leaders meeting in years. Osun State Governor, Southwest Nigeria, Mr. Adegoye Oyetola, says his administration would continue to be responsible and responsive by delivering on projects designed to make life more meaningful for the citizenry across the state. Governor Oyetola gave the perspective in Gbongan, the headquarters of Ayedade local government area of the state, following the commissioning of 3.75-kilometer township road. Governor's office correspondent Soya Onoride has more on the story.
Speaking in Gbongan during the official commissioning of 3.75-kilometer township road, Governor Adegoye Oyetola maintained as a responsible and a responsive government, his administration will continue to live up to his promise in delivering projects designed to make life more meaningful for the citizenry. The governor said that the road linking Chief Adebisi Akande Trumpet Bridge, Olajokun Park, Adenuga Junction, OK Church, Olufi Market in Gbongan, the headquarters of Ayedade local government area of the state of Osun, will also enhance socio-economic life and agricultural developments for the residents of Gbongan and its environment. It therefore appealed to the road users to demonstrate conscious maintenance of the road and their overall safety.
As a responsible and responsive government, we rose to the occasion to fix it to improve the socio-economic development of our people. The rehabilitation of the road will no doubt improve the socio-economic life of the people at the time in significant ways. Besides further giving a facelift to the ancient town, it also increased commercial and agricultural activities which the people of Gbongan and environs are noted. Therefore, the road was rehabilitated through the Ministry of Works and Transport Direct Labor Team.
In his remark, the State Commissioner for Works and Transport, Engineer Remi Omowaye, who lauded Governor Oyetola for outstanding record demonstrated in infrastructural developments across the state, noted that Governor Oyetola remained resolute in his pursuit for a greater state that all citizens will be proud of in the nearest future. Goodwill messages delivered by the representative of the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Honorable Bayo Olodo, the State Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Prince Gboyega Famodun, Olufi of Gbongan, Oba Adetoye Oyeniyi, Chairman, Association of Gbongan Progressive Elements, Mr. Saka Owopade, as well as the Southwest Publicity Secretary and Chairman, Erewole Federal Constituency, Mr. Ayo Afolabi, among others, lauded Governor Oyetola for working vigorously despite paucity of funds in ensuring transformational developments unfolding across the state. High point of the occasion was the commissioning of the road project by Governor Adegoye Oyetola. Dignitaries present at the occasion were the wife of the governor, Mrs. Kafayat Oyetola, the deputy governor, Mr. Benedict Alabi, the secretary to the state government, Prince Wole Oyebamiji, members of the State Executive Council, stewards, and members of the All Progressive Congress from across the state. From the governor's office, Soya Onoride reporting.
Burundi's parliament has approved the appointment of new prime minister after President Evariste Ndayishimiye warned last week of a possible coup plot against him. According to the national broadcaster, Security Minister Gervais Ndirakobucha has replaced Alain Guillaume as prime minister after a unanimous vote in parliament. Bunyoni's departure came after President Ndayishimiye, who has been in power for just over 2 years, last week warned of a coup plot against him. Ndayishimiye took power in the troubled nation in June 2020 after his predecessor, Pierre Nkurunziza, died of what Burundian authorities said was heart failure. A local official in Socialist Republic of Vietnam has disclosed that a fire tore through a karaoke bar, killing 12 people and leaving 11 injured. The blaze, according to reports, engulfed the second and third floors of the four-story building, trapping customers and staff members as dense smoke filled the staircase. The reports added that many crowded onto a balcony to escape the flames, which grew quickly as they caught the wooden interior, and others were forced to jump from the building. A local official confirmed to newsmen that 12 people were dead and 11 injured in the blaze. Meanwhile, head of Chuan City stated that rescue teams are still looking for victims at the scene, while the cause of the fire has not been determined and is being investigated. This is the World at Noon, coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation. Ileawiye Okebale Oshobo, Voice of the West. Now, a mid-news message. It is only when everyone works hard that a nation can record a sustainable growth. Contribute your quota. World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus has told reporters that the recent decline in monkeypox cases in North America and Europe shows that the current outbreak of the malady can be stopped. Dr. Tedros argued that few people outside Africa had heard of monkeypox, demonstrating the effectiveness of public health interventions and community engagement to track infections and prevent transmission. He added that it was easier to eliminate the virus in regions with no animal-to-human transmission. Ghebreyesus explained that although there have been only 16 deaths from monkeypox reported worldwide in the past few months, the number of cases has passed the total amount reported since the virus was first identified in 1958. Meanwhile, the WHO also addressed the issue of an increase in the number of cases of severe acute hepatitis in 35 countries worldwide in the last 4 months among children, particularly those aged 5 or less. Officials in Pakistan have declared that water levels in Pakistan's biggest lake are starting to recede after last-ditch attempts to prevent it from bursting its banks. Pakistan's National Disaster Management Agency said floods in Pakistan have affected some 33 million people and caused at least 1,343 deaths. Pakistan is facing one of its worst climate-induced natural disasters in years, as record torrential rainfall and melting glaciers in the country's northern mountains have caused devastating floods. The disaster has also highlighted the stark disparity between countries that are the largest contributors towards climate change and countries that bear the brunt of its impact. Meanwhile, UN Children's Agency UNICEF has said more children are at risk of dying from disease in Pakistan because of the shortage of clean water. China and Australia could hold top-level talks for the first time since 2017, with senior figures from both countries this week signaling a willingness to break the years-long impasse. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese explained that he would welcome such a meeting when asked about the potential for talks on the sidelines of the G20 summit in November in Indonesia. He stressed that he is open to dialogue with anyone at any time, particularly with leaders of other nations. The Prime Minister's comments came after China's ambassador to Australia, Xia Qian, told journalists that he would love to see Chinese President Xi Jinping meet with Mr. Albanese. In the meantime, while China remains Australia's largest trading partner, relations between the two countries have soared over the past 5 years and all but collapsed after Canberra called for an investigation into the origins of COVID-19. And here again are the highlights of the World at Noon. Governor Adeboye Oyetola, Southwest Nigeria, says his administration would continue to be responsible and responsive by delivering on projects designed to make life more meaningful for the citizenry across the states. Burundi's parliament has approved the appointment of a new prime minister after President Evariste Ndayishimiye warned last week of a possible coup plot against him. China and Australia could hold top-level talks for the first time since 2017, with senior figures from both countries this week signaling a willingness to break the years-long impasse. And that was the World at Noon, edited by Nathaniel Oyegoke and delivered by Temitope Olajuwola. News Talk by Adeboye Popola by Editorial Beat chronicles the main dispute between the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU and federal government and expressed the need for upgrading the facilities and salaries of lecturers across the universities in the country.
The current ASU strike makes it the 16th time that the public universities in the country will close down for different number of days since 1999. When adding up, it will amount to 62 months the public universities have been closed since 1999 till date. Going by Gregorian calendar, a period of 62 months is a little over 5 years. It is concluded therefore that from 1999 to 2022, which is 23 years, Nigerian public universities were out of session for 5 years. Since the persistent closure of universities owned by government strikes like a thunderbolt to ears in view of the fact that the agitation by the university's lecturers, which hinged on the enforcement of an agreement the federal government executed for the funding of the universities, welfare and emoluments of the lecturers that has since been partially implemented. It is imperative to note the possible consequences of running the academic programs epileptically as currently being experienced in Nigeria. The repercussions include the frustration suffered by students whose academic programs will be unduly elongated, brain drain in the universities due to migration of lecturers to advanced academic communities where the welfare of lecturers are prioritized with sufficient budget for researches and a bleak future for private and public enterprises. This is due to the fact that universities are sources of inspiration for developing the nation as centers for research into methods of achieving innovations to new discoveries. For instance, the contributions made by University of Pennsylvania to add to knowledge in the area of computer science attest to universities as a citadel for transforming potential to sharpened skill. It will be recalled that the electronic numerical integrator and computer, the general programmable electronic computer, was built by Prepe Eckert and John Macaulay in the university in 1943. The computer, whose research work was funded by the Army Ordnance Department, was used for calculations in designing the hydrogen bomb and later for research on design of wind tunnels, random number generators and weather predictions. In the same vein, J.V. Atanasov, a professor of physics and mathematics at Iowa State University, led a research project into invention of electronic computer for solving partial differential equations. The advantages of a well-funded university are enormous, uncountable, and inexhaustible. An Italian university, the University of Pupa, stands an exemplary. A product of the university, William Harvey, is remarkable for earth-breaking achievements in anatomy for his discovery of blood circulation system. Therefore, the call for release of sufficient funds for the public universities by ASU is patriotic and a clarion call to action. The appalling and desperate state of public sectors across the country is highly degrading. The antidote is an academic prodigy that will sharpen the potentials of individuals into discoveries that develop enterprise. For this purpose, News Talk persists that Nigerian government should have a rethink of its present hardline position with ASU by rescuing the public universities from being moribund. News Talk equally stresses the need for ASU to see the universities as a ministry that God entrusted to them for service to humanity. It is important for both the government and ASU to shift grounds because of the irreparable damage that a prolonged industrial dispute will have on the future of Nigerian students and the country at large.
That piece, written by Adeboye Popola, discussed the protracted trade dispute between the ASU and federal government. It projected into its possible consequences on the future of Nigerian public life. It was presented by Olushayo Babatunde. Well, thank you for listening. Good afternoon.
It's entertaining. It's educating. Really informative. Qualitative news as it breaks. It's OSBC.